Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to speak to the roll cart system and the on-demand option that we've developed over the past few weeks. We've reported this to Public Works Finance Committee. We've attended the last 3 Public Works Finance Committee meetings and got to this point. So I've got a short presentation here that we'll go through. The sanitation fund is an enterprise fund, as you're all aware. By definition, a fund must be self-supportive by the fees charged for the sanitation services. City of Moscow operates a comprehensive sanitation collection system. All municipalities are required to provide a sanitation services to assure public health and safety. The City of Moscow sanitation system provides many other services, programs, and infrastructure enhancements in adding to the basic garbage collection. Some of the services and programs that we offer contribute to a pretty good diversion rate. As you can see, we divert approximately 50% of our waste stream through different means there. Not to mention the additional 4,000 tons of biosolids that are processed annually at the compost facility. In 1993, Moscow residents were charged the same rate for collection, which allowed each household 2 garbage cans. 1993, City Council adopted a more equitable volume-based billing system, which we currently have in place. The volume-based system is comprised of 2 separate components, one of which is the base fee and the second is the volume fee. The base rate costs, as listed, collection vehicles traveling throughout the city, making collection services available to all, operations and maintenance of the city-owned recycling center, curbside recycling collection, yard waste, tire amnesty, excuse me, education, information. And in those base fees, the proposed base fees include future roll cart costs and operations and management for the roll cart program. The costs for these services and programs through the base fee are spread amongst all customers to keep rates manageable. The services and programs that are offered and paid for through the base fee benefit the entire community. There is no opt-out option for paying for these costs. The 2012 Comprehensive Sanitation Rate Study considers allocations related to the base fee-driven revenue needs of the sanitation system entirely separate from those of the volume-related revenue needs. Volume fee. Volume fee and service level rate is based on the number of cans or bags that are set out for collection. The more waste that's set out, the proportionally higher costs. Volume fees are in addition to the base fees. The current system allows residents to opt out of weekly service by pre-purchase and use of tags as needed. The volume fees cover the cost of transportation and disposal of MSW. Of course, all MSW collected is transported to a regional landfill in Boardman, Oregon.
And the lingo is municipal solid waste,
Municipal
right?
solid waste,
Okay, thanks.
MSW.
All right.
In the past, we've seen some abuses with the tag system. The 2009 residential waste audit concluded that the city was incurring revenue losses of $121,000 annually. We also discovered that there was difficulty in determining what was over service. Collection staff didn't know what the current service levels were in the city's billing system. We had address identification issues, and then we also had those working the system and not tagging. Corrective measures were identified.
Excuse me, explain over service, please.
Overservice would be, for instance, if someone was signed up for 1 can weekly service and they set out a second and didn't tag it, or somebody that was on tag only set out a bag and it was untagged. It all ties into the tags not being used for whatever reason.
Could you reiterate the cost of the tag versus the cost of an over-service? So if somebody doesn't put a tag on it, instead of paying for the tag, they're gonna be charged?
Correct. The tags currently are $1.70 each, as opposed to the penalty fee for not tagging is $6.40 per item. Corrective measures were identified and approved by the City Council, and the route management system was deployed on August 1st of 2012. We have seen an improvement in compliance. However, we're still averaging 1,700 untagged cans, bags, or extras per month during the first 6 months of operation. Of those 28%, or 470 per month are directly attributed to Tag It All customers. These are just some photos that were taken during the 2009 residential refuse audit. And I had to slip another one in that I ran across this morning. This actually happened yesterday, so it's still occurring.
Is that at an apartment house or a single?
It's a
family?
duplex.
Duplex.
We've been discussing the rollout cart program for a number of years now. It was first discussed during the residential waste audit of 2009, was further discussed during the sanitation strategic plan development. We discussed it again during the comprehensive sanitation rate study. And finally, staff was directed to initiate franchise renewal discussions with LSI to include the roll cart system. Staff evaluated many different roll cart programs over the past 3 years. We tried to incorporate some basic principles, and that was to keep it simple for both the customer operationally and administratively. We wanted to maintain some flexibility and treat it like a true utility, volume-based system. And finally, we wanted to responsibly manage public resources and program costs. And we went in fully knowing that there is no one-size-fits-all or perfect system. I'm just going to go through a little bit of a timeline.
If I may,
now.
just to finish up on your photos, you said you estimated $121,000 in lost revenue from overages
Correct.
before the system, the
Route management.
route management
Yep.
system went into effect. It's through January, it was in effect for 5 months?
That sounds right.
And how much were the overcharges for that 5 months?
I believe we estimated that at nearly $60,000. I think it was $59,000 and some odd.
So your original 121,000 estimate was pretty much correct.
Pretty much.
Okay, thank you.
Now I'm just going to go through a little bit of a timeline about the discussions with the roll carts. Staff and City Council conducted a workshop in June of 2012. Solid waste franchise agreement extension and roll cart system were discussed at that time. Staff was directed to proceed with those amendments to the franchise agreement and a conceptual roll cart system that was explained at the workshop. The franchise agreement negotiations stalled due to some exclusivity issues. Franchise agreement was allowed to renew under the current terms with no amendments or roll cart system, and that happened December of 2012. Staff was directed by City Council to then pursue a roll cart program with the franchisee. Staff reported to Public Works Finance Committee on January 14th on the status of the franchise agreement and the roll cart program. City Council and staff had received numerous correspondences regarding elimination of the Tag It All option. Public Works Finance Committee directed staff to re-examine the concerns of the low-volume waste producers and attempt to develop an option equivalent. Staff was also directed to report back to each subsequent committee meeting to report progress. Staff also reported to the Sustainable Environment Commission the following evening and discussed the roll cart system status and the developments that had taken place. Staff came back with what we termed an on-demand option. Staff presented to Public Works Finance Committee on January 28th this option. We had some very preliminary rate structures of an $11.50 base, $2.40 per service. Staff also presented in the committee packet memorandum stating concerns of continuing theft of service probabilities with the new option. Public Works Finance Committee received testimony generally supporting the on-demand option, with some also having concerns of theft of service. Excuse me. Staff was then directed to re-examine the preliminary price structure for the on-demand option in such a manner that would narrow and or close the gap between the on-demand and the weekly 35-gallon roll cart service that would provide less incentive for theft of service.
And if you would define theft of service.
Theft of service would be, an example would be someone that would use someone else's container, whether that be a can or a dumpster, when they were unauthorized to use that to avoid charges.
Theft of service is also putting bags out without tagging them. Now we can catch it and have an overage charge, which we had before, but we couldn't really catch it because we
Correct.
didn't have a mechanism. So there's a
Correct.
lot of, I mean, theft of service can happen at all user levels.
And I believe that's probably why the penalty fee is set so high. I
Right.
mean, it's punitive.
I saw the date before on the last slide said January 28th of 2012, and I think you meant 2013.
I sure did.
Yeah, okay.
Let's see, Tim, you had a question too?
That was.
That was it?
Thank you.
They actually read this, Tim.
Staff presented the revised rate structure on February 11th, 2013. The proposed revised rate structure, which is before you this evening, is $12.95 for the base fee and $1.95 per service, and this is for the on-demand option. The full capabilities will be required of the route management system to administer the on-demand option, as does any other exception like extras or skips and photos. Staff currently spends in excess of 2 hours per day verifying these exception reports and photos produced by the route management system before the data is applied to Springbrook, which is a utility billing system. Part of the reason for that time commitment too is we're running a new software package. There's actually 3 separate software packages. The first one being Springbrook, which is what the city has on record for customer service levels and the like. There are inconsistencies that happen. Sometimes the Encore system doesn't update like it should, which then gives routeware misinformation, which then causes folks to be billed unduly of extras. So that's why we take the time to go through those so thoroughly. The on-demand would be treated like any other exception, and it would just add to that time demand.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, Dan.
Tim, with the 2 hours that it currently takes to verify the exceptions, would that time shorten as we move forward with, should we move forward with this, as things move forward and as things start getting in place, where we'd be able to shrink that time down more?
I believe so, and it has improved from when we first deployed the system. Any new software system is just difficult, but we want to thoroughly go through those, especially in the beginning. We want to make sure that folks aren't billed
Once you start
inappropriately.
seeing, once you start seeing who's doing what and doing it at a regular basis, I think that would be where it would start compressing your time.
That would be our hopes. Yes.
Thank you.